Here we go, stage 16, the pluperfect tense. Okay, so last year in Latin 1 you learned about 4 verb tenses. Remember that tense simply just refers to when the action is taking place. The 4 tenses that you learned, we learned present tense, as in I am walking to the store, it's happening now. Imperfect tense is continuous action in the past, as in I was walking to the store, I was talking to a friend. Those are the bom, bos, bot, ers, etc. Perfect tense is completed action in the past. It happened once. It was done. I walk-a-da to the store. I talk-a-da to my friend. And we did learn half of the future tense. And that, of course, is action that will happen at some point in the, wait for it, future. Now what about pluperfect? Okay, here's our definition. Pluperfect simply means that an action happened before the perfect tense. In other words, if we look at pluperfect and we break that apart, it's actually 2 separate Latin words. The plu comes from plus, meaning more or beyond. So something that happens in the pluperfect tense is sort of like beyond, meaning further in the past than the regular old perfect tense. Now, skip the recognition part. We're going to get there in a second. How's it translated? It's always translated as had verbed. Really easy. Had verbed. How do you recognize it? Equally as easy, but let's look at some examples in English first. Look at this first sentence. Over the weekend, I visited my parents. Well, visited is perfect tense. But if I add in some more information, over the weekend, I visited my parents who had returned recently from Florida. The had returned part is pluperfect. Think about it. It happened before the visiting. Does that make sense? Whoa. Like my parents returned from Florida and then I visited them. Whoa. So visited happened, and then what happened before that? The fact that they had returned. Check out this sentence. In the palace were many pictures which an artist had painted. So already we have something that's in the past tense with this verb were. There were many pictures, and then at some point before an artist had painted them, pluperfect. So this action happened a long time ago in the past. Okay, so how do we recognize it? Super easy. You know that verbs have 3 parts. The first part is the present tense form. The second part is the infinitive. And the third part is the perfect tense form. So you're going to look at the third part of the verb. You're going to chop off the I at the end, and you're left with what's called the perfect stem. This is the stem that you add est et emus estis erunt to get the perfect tense. This is the stem that you add eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, or erant to get the pluperfect tense. And this is the stem that you also add another set of endings to get something called the future perfect tense. That is the 6th and final verb tense, and we'll talk more about that in the spring. So, pretty straightforward. If you just know your Aram Aras Arat song, then you're good to go. So there it is, in all of its glory. And then how would you translate it? It's really easy. It's just had verbed. So para weram, I had verbed. Para weras, you had verbed. Para werat, he, she, it had verbed, etc., etc. Okay, so just remember, sing the song as in Aram Aras Arat, clap clap, Aramus Aratis Arat, pop pop, Aram Aras Arat, pop pop, Aramus Aratis Arat. By itself, it's imperfect tense. It's translated was or were when it's at the end of a word. It's pluperfect had verbed. So look at it there. See? There they are. They're at the end of the word there. So they're pluperfect had verbed. Not that bad. Okay, let's look at a few practice sentences. Rufala, remember that's Sawius' wife. Rufala ancilas, quae cubiculum para verant laudavit. Well, where's our pluperfect verb? Aram, aras, arat, eramus, aratis, erant. There it is. So this is going to be had prepared. And then look how it's inside of a little clause here that starts with quae. So that cannot be the main verb of the whole sentence. It's just the verb of the clause. What's the main verb of the whole sentence? Why, it's laudavit. So Rufala praised the slave girls who had prepared the bedroom. So there you go. You had an act that already happened in the past, the praising, right? Rufala praised. And then you have an action that happened further back in the past, pluperfect, the fact that the slave girls had prepared the bedroom. Look at number 2. Savius me punivit quod evila fugeram. Savius punished me because because I had escaped out of the house. Okay, so he punished me. That happened in the past. But what happened further back in the past is the fact that I had escaped, pluperfect, beyond the perfect. Now, finally, last but not least, agricola nos laudavit, quod per totum diem laboraveramus. That's hard to say. So, what happened here? The farmer praised us because, eramus eratis erant, because we had worked through the whole day. So he praised us. It happened in the past. But what happened a little bit further in the past, pluperfect, we had done the working. So pluperfect, just think about your Aram-Aras-Arat song, and you add those endings to the perfect stem. You get that by taking the third part of the verb and chopping off the I. And it's always translated as had verbed. Pretty straightforward. Okay, that's the end.